So this is the sarcophagus of the spouses. The sarcophagus of the spouses was made with painted terracotta, and it was created by the ancient Etruscan civilization, which is located in Caire, which is in northern Italy and modern Cerveteri, Italy. And it was sculpted in 520 BCE. So for the content of the sarcophagus of the spouses, it's an anthropoid, which is a human-shaped art piece. And it's a very realistic and lifelike couple of a woman and man, which was sculpted in terracotta. And both of the figures are elongated, and they're embracing, laying on top of each other, and their arms are outstretched. And this suggests that they were holding items, possibly from a banquet. The woman is possibly holding a perfume bottle, and one of the figures, either the man or the woman, are possibly holding a pomegranate, which was meant to symbolize eternal life. The woman is wearing a cap and shoes with pointed toes, and the man has highly stylized braids, and both figures have highly stylized hair, and overall they're both stylized. It's a stylized piece, and it appears to have been broken apart in the past and then reassembled, based on how it was found and what it looked like when it was found. And the dimensions of the piece are 3 feet and 9.5 inches by 6 feet and 7 inches. So for the function of the sarcophagus of the spouses, it was presumed to be made to show a banqueting scene, and banqueting scenes were painted, carved, and drawn into many types of Etruscan art, and they were meant to depict a funeral banquet, and these banquets occurred before a deceased person was sent to the afterlife. And the connection between the sarcophagus and the banqueting scene can be seen throughout the women in the sculpture are reclined, embracing each other, laying on top of each other, and they're also eating together, which occurred during these Etruscan banquets. So, for part of the background information for this piece is the Etruscan and the Greeks and how their cultures were similar and different. They were neighboring civilizations, and they had different similarities and differences. So, for one of the similarities is that they both placed their art pieces in temples. So, the sarcophagus of the spouses is an example of this. It was placed in an Etruscan temple. And when it comes to architecture, both of the cultures use columns, and these columns were used on temples specifically, and they were heavily influenced by the Greeks, and then were used by the Etruscans as well. Another similarity is that the Etruscan statues rounded, serene faces and treatment of hairstyles would fit in with contemporary Greek styles, so the way their faces and hairstyles were created by the Etruscans were also similar with the Greek styles. Some differences include how the Greek sculptures and Etruscan sculptures were shaped differently, and how the figures were placed. So in Greek sculptures, they were very stiff, their limbs were close to their bodies, so their arms were placed to their side. However, in Etruscan sculptures, they had outstretched limbs, their hands were placed out and moving in space. And another difference is how both civilizations or cultures made their art. So Etruscans used terracotta and clay, and the Greeks used marble and bronze. And another difference is the way women were treated and kind of in their society when it came to the banquets and how it connected. So the women in the Etruscan civilization were treated better. They were treated more equal than they were in the Greeks. So in the Etruscan banquets, the men and women socialized together because of that more equality between the two. And the Greek banquets, men and women were separated because women weren't seen as equal as the men. And this is portrayed in the sarcophagus of the spouses because the men and women were together and embracing each other as if it would have been made by the Greeks, then they would have been separated.
Terracotta was a very standard material that was used by the Etruscans to decorate architecture like temples, as well as when creating sculptures. So, terracotta was a result from marble just being an unknown material in archaic Italy. And terracotta was just mostly used by Greeks in the 6th century, which was also the time that the sarcophagus of the spouses was made. So it is believed that the sarcophagus of the spouses influenced the Greek colonists in the creation of the seated statue of Zeus from Poseidonia. The statue of Zeus was also made of terracotta. So, some background information. So, sarcophagi reflect on funerals of the Etruscans and their practices. Intrusion's funerals focused mainly on their dead and the dead's identities during their living lives. The sarcophagi originally contained human remains. They were, in that sense, very similar to tombs. The statues had very elongated figures and were very common in the Mediterranean during the Archaic period. Intrusion's funerary art contained depictions of people enjoying themselves, some even including illustrations of parties. So, some vocabulary that relates to the sarcophagus of the spouses includes sarcophagus, which is a stone coffin. It's typically a sculpture or has an inscription and is associated with civilizations of the Greek, Rome, and Egyptians. So, in present-day Turkey, it was originally a Greek colony. So, anthropoid is just something that resembles humans. Is pertaining to or designating the style of fine arts, especially painting and sculpture developed in Greece from the 7th to early 5th century BC. Finally, we have a quiz for us to take after we just went through all this amazing information to check how much we learned. Is present-day Ionia located? A region in present-day Greece. Oh, sorry, Turkey. My mistake. Okay. What did Greeks and Etruscans have in common? So, yes. Is the sarcophagus of the spouses an anthropoid? Yes. Why did terracotta become a normalized material? Italy lacked the marble they needed to create architecture and art. Yes. Well, not exactly lacked, but they did not just know really about marble. What were some functions of the sarcophagi? To hold dead human remains. Yes. Okay. The woman is possibly holding a perfume bottle, and one of the figures is possibly holding a pomegranate, which symbolizes eternal life. When was the sarcophagus of the spouses created? 1520 BC, 5020, not even 50, 520 BC, sorry. What culture does the sarcophagus of the spouses come from? Etruscan. Where was the sarcophagus of the spouses created? City of Cairo. Sorry, this is kind of taking up my time, isn't it? What is the sarcophagus of the spouses form? Terracotta. Okay, oops. This is the one I missed originally, present-day Turkey. Sorry about that. Yay, we got first. Off with our citations. So we have Khan Academy, which we both used, and then Smart History, Sarcophagus of the Spouses, which we used in the first 4 slides, 5 slides actually, I believe, and then some dictionary definitions for the vocab. Thank you.